This thing that you're working on isn't due till midnight. Let's talk about graphical user interfaces. Woo! Now, obviously, there is a need for GUIs. GUIs are everywhere. Give me an example of a GUI.
CMD.
Huh?
CMD.
What is that?
That's,
CMV?
Yeah.
What is that?
no, he said ZMD, like the text user interface.
Oh, well, no. Well, okay, but graphical user interface. Oh, yeah, CMD. But give me an example of a graphical user interface.
The Fortnite item shop.
Okay. Good. I mean, that's good. How about one we see every day? Yes?
Windows.
Very good. Very good. Very good. How about a web page like Amazon? The ultimate, yes?
PlayStation Store.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So let's think of it in terms of Amazon. Why are GUIs safer for us? Why are GUIs safer for Amazon? Well, we all know why GUIs are marketable, because they use the space, the real estate on our web browser to entice us with the impulse buys, right? They track us. But there's a certain security element to GUIs, isn't there? For example, imagine, if you will, imagine if Amazon was set up like, an Oracle database, in which you couldn't just buy something. You had to say, select purchase method from this for this item number, and I paid this much. You pay the list price of the item. Right? So imagine if there's no automation, and we had, as consumers, had to manually type in everything we wanted, like a long SQL database command, like select from this item, and I would like to purchase it. And the system would be would probably be turned on its end overnight. Okay, so we need GUIs. Okay, there is an actual drastic need for graphical user interfaces. Okay, and to do that, we're going to talk about things like event handling, inner classes. So let's take a look here. So the first thing you need for a graphical user interface is you need a window. Okay, kind of like the window for that MIDI percussion thing we were looking at. Okay, that's an example of a window that comes up. Every time you literally click on anything on your Microsoft Windows computer, and something comes up, that's a window. Every time a web browser comes up, that is a window. Okay, so all graphical user interfaces start with a window. And actually, you mentioned CMD. That is kind of, that may not be a GUI in the strictest of terms, but it does require another window, right? Another window. So, anyways. So on this window, you can have various items, like a button that says click me, or a button that says choose. Okay? So making a GUI. What do we need to make a GUI? First, you need a frame. So this is the syntax for creating a new frame. Does that look familiar? Do you see any word in here that indicates what it could be doing?
It's instance.
Yeah. Very good. It's instantiating the JFrame object, which is essentially a class, right? Kind of like what we've been doing all this time for those other things, for like the things like the mortgage application. So there are things that we can do with it that might be kind of considered fun. Okay, so we can, for example, make a widget, a button, text field, etc. So we have JButton, button equals new, JButton here, it's saying click me. and I'm missing a closing quote right there. What do you think this indicates? Where is click me? What data structure that we've talked about is click me? What is that a parameter of?
The button.
I know if I draw it out of you, you're going to get it, and you will too. You will too, probably. So come on. What does that represent? It starts with the letter C.
Configuration.
Almost. We said what is the special method that we talked about that if you instantiate that method, the items in that method or the things in the method will automatically trigger? Constructor. That's a constructor. And now we need to display it. Frame.getContent.add button. So this is, we did this before, this is method chaining. So frame.getContentPane.add button. So here is where we're adding the button to, and how we are, when I say adding it, we're displaying the button. So make the frame, create the widget, add the widget to the frame, and then display it. Okay, your first GUI right here. Okay, in which we create the window called a frame, JFrame. JFrame frame equals new frame. We create the button, JButton button equals new button. Click me, but nothing happens. And then JFrame will exit on close. Well, let's see. Let's take a look. So that is simple GUI 1. Okay, so that is the program right there, and let me just close that right really quickly. So let me just stream it. We're going to do cat simplegui.1.java. There it is right there, just a simple button. So here's we create the frame, we create the button, okay, and then we had to add the button. This actually displays the button. This sets the frame size, and you had to say frame.setVisible equals to, you have to set it to be true. That is the complete program. So if we run it, okay, it says click me, nothing happens, it's just a button. But nothing happens, but a button is there nonetheless. Now we can add an event. What is an event? So it's something that happens, like a user click or whatever. There's two elements needed. We need a method, and we need when to trigger it, event handling. So here we have the code. The code adds the button, and the button is pressed, and then the button will activate or trigger more code. And what is the bridge between the button and the code is an LI, or listener interface. Okay, here's the listener interface code. Okay, we have, look at this, simple GUI 2 implements action listener. Implements action listener. So what is an action listener? I mean, I'm not asking you to tell me about the action listener in particular, because you haven't even heard of it. But based on the syntax, what type of entity it must action listener be? Well, if it was if action listener were a class, we would say public class simple GUI 2 extends action listener. But it doesn't say that would be if action listener itself was a class that we were extending. So, but it says implements. Implement. So what does that make action listener? Who said that? Yes! Awesome. Gold star. Okay. And then we have button add action listener. Okay. And then we have action event. And then we have button.set text I've been clicked. Okay. Okay, so this is the program right here. Okay, so we have simple GUI 2 implements action listener, and here we establish a button of type JButton. Okay, and here's a program right here. We are saying GUI equals new GUI 2, simple GUI 2, GUI.go, and then we have public void go. And then this is where we add the frame and the button, and this is where we add the listener interface. Add action listener. Okay, we're adding the button, and then here we are setting the closing operation. And then here under action performed, we say I've been clicked. All right, let's see it in action. So this is simple GUI 2. Okay, here's the program again as it is displayed on my system. So this should all look very familiar. We have the creation of the button in the data portion, and then we have the main method, and under the main method, which defines the methods underneath, we have GUI.go, and then this is where we define what go is. We're actually overriding go, and so let's take a look. Okay, it says click me, and we click on it. It says I've been clicked. See that? Okay. Okay, so this is now the other aspect of this is GUI placement methods. Putting widgets on a frame here, drawing 2D graphics, and putting a JPEG on a widget here. We can also place more than one thing on the frame. Okay, we have frame.getContent frame or getContentPane.add button. And then we have we do the same thing down here, add border layout center button. So we're just messing with the different placement issues aspects out there. Okay, and let's take a look. Let's take a look at the homework I'm going to assign. The ICA I'm going to assign for tonight. 1 second, let me get it, and you'll be able to understand it. Okay, so this will This is called the Dad Joke Raider 3000, in which you're just going to be copying and pasting this, and you'll run it, and then you'll just it will ask you to simply change some of the fields, some of the quotes, or some of the text in the fields. That's it. That's all it's going to ask you to do. So that's it. Okay, that's it for today. I will upload this by tonight, so you'll have your ICE exercise due tonight by midnight, and then I'll upload this. This will be due in the next 3 days. It's your ICA for this week, and then there'll be a weekly, and then there'll be a weekly homework, okay, and then I'll have a little bit of a final, just a little bit. It'll just be minuscule. Yes.
Are we in here for that, or is that?
No.
Okay.
No. That's it. It's been a good time this semester. I'm gonna miss each one of you.
So the weekly homework's not the final?
Pardon me?
So the weekly homework's not the final?
No. It'll just be a small assignment for this coming week, for the week of the finals. So, just a small assignment.
So, but, I mean, it's, so, but, okay, so, it'll just be, okay.
Yeah, just small. So anyways, all right, thank you. You guys are great. And I will upload that Python book I promised you the beginning of the semester, and then over the next month, you read it, and you're gonna know Python better than people walking around that took a Python class, because Java is more severe than Python. Congratulations. You should be clapping to yourselves that you actually can understand the elements of Java. So that means once you read the Python book, you're going to know that even better. So thank you. I thank you very much.
Was this the last class period?
Yes. Well, I mean, I will have